eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.
What the hell is going on? Welcome back to Reptile Week, everybody. We are digging into one of the best things that I've been wanting to cover on this channel for such a long time. This is the Credo Mutwa David Icke 1999 interview. Now, this thing is 6 hours in its full length, okay? 6 hours. We're not going to do that. We're going to be doing the first three. Well, it's a bit over 3 hours in two parts, okay? So we have two big streams coming up that we're going to be covering. We're going to try and get through half of it in today's stream, the other half in the next one. And if you guys are really digging it and you really want to go through the remaining 2.5 hours, we can do that too. We can do that. But I think this is sort of the main part of it that it's most famous for. And this is just rife with gold nuggets about history, the perspective on history from African culture. And there's just so many things in this interview that just blow your mind, that connect dots. And, you know, it's important to remember the time frame, right? 1999. And this is coming from a Zulu shaman in Africa. Okay, this isn't someone trying to sell a book. This isn't someone trying to get likes on Instagram. This is someone telling the story of their people and their culture as it has been passed down to him for generations and generations through their tribe and through their people in that part of the world. And the amount of things that just sound like truth in fiction that we're going to get into, it's going to blow your mind. So if you haven't seen this, you are in for a treat. Let's just cover off a few people here. Julie, Lisa, and Pickup Bug, you little freaks, all three of you. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Yeshua says, thanks, my bro. W, this has been a long time coming. It absolutely has. This is, I mean, I've wanted to cover this for so long, but trying to break it down into clips and do it in a video has just been like too much of a task. I think we just need to go through this together, start to finish, and I'm really excited to do that. Brad James has gifted a membership. Thank you, Brad, you legend. Concertina says, greetings from Las Vegas, Nevada. Shout out to you. Can't wait to be there. And D has gifted a membership as well. My man D, thank you very much. And Bleak has gifted 5. Bleak, my boy, thank you very much. And I'm Carpet has also become a new weirdo. Thank you very much, guys. Well, before we get into it, a few of you guys have noticed the stream, the t-shirt. Funny story. You might have seen it if you were on my if you've got me on Instagram. If you don't, that's my Instagram handle right there. Go and give us a follow. But just yesterday, I got an email, and I get a lot of emails on Polarity, a lot of strange emails, as you can imagine. And one of them said, "Hey Josh, it's Kirk from Metallica. I really like your show Polarity. Do you want some tickets to our Australia tour?" And they played where I live last night. And naturally, you're like, "Okay, bro. I'm sure it's Kirk from Metallica. Yeah, okay." And naturally, you sort of dismiss it as a scam or whatever. But I just had a little feeling, that there was something to that. So I decided to follow my feeling, as we always should. And shout out to Kirk Hammett. He is a fan of the channel. Thank you very much, Kirk. I had an awesome night. Metallica, you guys rock. I remember when the tour was announced and I missed out on tickets. And I will be honest, I tried to justify it to myself. This is how I tried to make myself feel better for missing out on tickets. I was like, you know what? It probably would have been better to see them like 20 years ago when they were a little bit younger, you know, a little bit more energy. These guys, they still move. They still rock. They got energy, and the show was honestly unreal. So thank you to Kirk. Shout out to them. And yeah, crazy. You never know who's watching, right? The moral of the story is sometimes the Nigerian prince is real. And Dan Garden, celebrating 6 months as a member, says, shout out to Kirk. I'm the Fat, returning as a member too. And Daniel Taylor has gifted a membership. You guys are absolute legends. I left my water bottle in the car, so I'm surviving on a Pepsi Max tonight. But we have a lot to get into. So let's do it. let's jump over here to the Polarity TV. Suki is here. We can say a quick hello to her. She's looking shiny and cute. And let's do this. So this is 1999, Credo Mutwa, and a David Icke interview. And there's a couple of things that I want to stop off and talk about along the way because it's just mind-blowing. All right, here we go. Apologies, I missed a few people actually. April has gifted a membership too, and Yvonne Pandora with $10 says new weirdo here, and I'm loving it. Yvonne, thank you very much. I'm loving having you here as well. It is a pleasure. And I'm Carpet with $10 too says Josh, I'm able to catch a stream like the third time. I love your channel and the community you've developed. Love from Reno, Nevada. Thank you very much. I can't wait to be stateside and meet some of you guys. I really appreciate it. There's no sound yet, by the way. Don't panic. Don't panic. It's coming. Any moment now. David Icke talks with Credo Mutwa. Josh is off to Never Never Land. Unreal. There he is.
Hello, and welcome to Africa, this enormous and astonishing continent. South Africa, to be more precise. Just
sound levels good?
Short drive outside Johannesburg. And I'm here to talk to a remarkable man, Credo Mutwa. When I first came to South Africa about 18 months ago, within 2 or 3 days, I was introduced to Credo Mutwa. I'd never heard of him at the time, but from the moment I met him, I didn't stop listening and he didn't stop talking for at least 5 hours. And within the first few minutes, I realized I wasn't just in the presence here of a man of great knowledge, and he certainly
We've gone up a little bit.
I was in the presence of a genius, a unique human being. And Credo Mutwa is without doubt the most incredible man it has been my honor to meet. Credo is what some people around the world call a shaman, and some deeply, deeply ignorant people call a witch doctor. And to give him his official title, he's a Sanusi in the Zulu nation. Sanusi is the carrier, the keeper of the ancient knowledge of so much, including the ancient knowledge of history of Africa, where all this came from, where the people came from, what the truth of history is, instead of the largely nonsensical version of history that we get through the universities and the schools from very, very well-educated professors who know. There are only 2 Sanusis left in South Africa. Credo is one. And that's terrifying, because it means the true version of the history of this continent is dying. It's being lost to this official nonsense that we're told is history, but it's absolute garbage. History has been rewritten, and the people who can put that history together again are going out of this world as they age and are not replaced. So you're about to have, as I have, the enormous privilege of hearing this man talk and seeing his knowledge preserved for as long as the electronic medium exists. He is the official storyteller and keeper of the history, the knowledge of the Zulu people. But you know, knowledge is a very dangerous thing when you're trying to hold people down into a mind prison. You're trying to manipulate them. You're trying to control them. And so people like Credo Mutwa, who have the knowledge to rewrite history and therefore rewrite the present, they are very dangerous people to those that wish to control.
No, Credo's passed away.
This man has had endless threats to his life, endless attempts on his life, right up to the last few days. And he has upset the hierarchy of his own people as much as he's upset those others in other cultures and other races that wish also to suppress the truth for reasons of preserving their own religious domination or keeping people in ignorance. And so I've come here to talk to Credo at length about many things. And this is a series of unique videos with a unique man. And what we're going to start out with is to concentrate on a bizarre story.
He speaks English.
An off-the-wall story, you would think, but one which he is confirming at every turn from his own background, his own unique knowledge of this continent. Over the last few years, as I've been trying to uncover how the world's controlled by a few people, which it is, and who those people are, it has emerged from my research that, bizarre as it may seem, a reptilian race from another world, interbred with humanity in the far ancient world, creating hybrid crossbreed bloodlines. You see references to these in the Old Testament and into endless of the ancient texts. In the Old Testament, it talks about the sons of God, which in the original is sons of the gods, plural, interbreeding with the daughters of men to create the hybrid race, the Nephilim. These gods were the literal gods of the ancient people. And they used to sacrifice people literally to the gods. And these crossbreed bloodlines, as ancient accounts tell around the world, were put into the positions of ruling royal power in the ancient world.
Gods with
and
an
then,
A.
as is happening today, when you do the genealogy of the ruling families and the ruling positions of power in the world, be they the 42 presidents of the United States up to Bill Clinton, be they the British royal family, be the aristocracy of Europe, any of these key ruling elites, the top of the banking system, the top of the global business system, you hit the family lines which go back to these same ruling lines of the ancient world, royal lines, that the ancient accounts say were the crossbreeds between humanity and these reptilian gods. In other words, a reptilian extraterrestrial race has been controlling planet Earth for thousands of years to this day and putting its genetic compatible bloodlines into the positions of power as presidents, prime ministers, banking leaders, business leaders, etc. And this explains so many things, where we get the divine right of kings from, the divine right to rule because of the bloodline, the genetics. Why these ruling families of the aristocracy and the royal families have always incessantly interbred with each other, just as the Eastern establishment families of the United States do, that produce so many presidents and banking leaders and administrators of government in the United States. And astonishingly, bizarre as I keep saying, and seemingly ridiculous as this story may be from our conditioned perspective of life and reality, when I started talking to Credo Mutwa from his African experience and knowledge of the most staggering depths and variety, he tells exactly the same story that I have uncovered around the world, exactly in great detail. And if Africa and the world is ever going to be free, and we are, then they have to listen to this man. And they have to listen now. I started out by talking to Credo about the origin of the knowledge that he is about to share with us for the first time in so many cases. Because this is the knowledge that only initiates normally get. But as Credo says, the world needs to know this. And so, this is a unique video. And this is a unique man. And like I say, I asked him first about the origin of the knowledge that he's about to pass on.
Here we go. All right, this is it. Mark gifted 10 memberships while David was getting us just set up and primed for this amazing interview. Thank you very much, Mark. Let's get some love in the chat. And Taris also gifted 5. Taris, you are the man. I appreciate the generosity, guys. And RJ Riss, welcome, sir. And Rusty, celebrating 4 months, says Australia needs to listen more to our First Nations elders and stories of Dreamtime. We are slowly realizing just how much we can learn. Absolutely, my man. And I think you could apply that to everywhere around the world. You know, especially a lot of the Western nations that have kind of moved in and kicked out Indigenous. I think those people have some interesting stories to tell that we should be listening to a little bit closer. And Taras just gifted another 5. My man saw 10 and thought, you know what? I can match that. I respect that. Taras, you are the man, brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. All right, guys, here we go. This is it. Credo Mutwa, 1999.
When the white man started destroying our religion, when he started demonizing our gods, when he started ridiculing what we believed in and actually using educated Africans to destroy that ancient African religion, in many parts of Africa, our ancient religion went underground. And there were, call them secret societies, all over South Africa and Central Africa and East Africa and West Africa, where this knowledge was stored and kept by aging guardians, many of whom did not know that in other parts of the land there were other guardians who were doing exactly as they were doing. Now, when I first became a Sangoma, I was already, a person of education. I had entered school as a child of 14 years, and when I became a Sangoma, I was a youth of 16 years. And what my aunt and my grandfather, as well as my maternal grandmother, taught me, shook me to the core of my soul. I found that the mission schools had been teaching me lies about my people all along.
No way. The schools are telling us lies about our history? Well, you're kidding.
Missionaries had told us as children that the only light came to Africa with white people, that before the white man came, we black people had no idea about God. We had no belief in a life after death, and that our people were just a race of savages who used to lie around in the sun, womanize, fight, and drink beer every day. I was suddenly awakened to the fact that Africans had in fact been far greater intellectually than the missionaries were willing to give them credit for. That, like the white man, we had astrology, astronomy, we had surgery. In fact, I found that Zulu surgeons in the early years of the 19th century and the 18th century and even beyond could perform operations which white surgeons were not capable of operating. And the more I learned about my people, the more I wanted to learn. And when my initiation under my aunt Mina and my grandfather Zigo had ended, I wanted to know more and more and more. And sometimes I had to pay a ghastly price in order to gain this knowledge. In one place, here in the northwestern Transvaal, my teachers found that I was really uncircumcised. And they told me bluntly that if I wanted to be a member of this secret society, I had to undergo circumcision. And I did, and it was screamingly painful, I assure you, because it was done with a clasp knife, which somebody must have blunted a little bit, just to make sure that I got the message.
Wow.
I had the same done, but I was asleep at the time, so we have that.
If anyone ever like invites you to join their group or like to hang out in their crew, but like to do that, you have to get circumcised. I'm just going to say like that's probably not a cool group to hang out with. I would advise against that. They probably don't have your best interests at heart at the end of the day. Daniel Taylor, thank you very much for gifting a membership, brother. Appreciate you.
And say, in some places in Southern Africa, if you wanted to learn the secrets of a certain secret society, you had to do dreadful things which I cannot repeat here. And at one time, in Barotse land, in the west of what is today Zambia, my teacher said, look, how far are you willing to go in order to become one of us? I said, I am willing to go anywhere. He looked at me and he said, listen, education.
Recap. He's basically saying he was approached by a secret society and to join them, he had to get circumcised, and he did as an adult. And it was extremely rough and painful. And now he's talking about the discussions with them.
Man, we are tired of people like you. White men come amongst us to milk our minds and then to kill us. We want to be sure that we can trust you. And wait, sir. I said, great one. I am willing to do anything. He said, are you? I said, yes. And then they went into a graveyard, and from there they removed the hand of a corpse, dead 2 days, and they brought it and they challenged me to cook it and eat it.
Cooking the hand of a corpse.
I did so.
And
And
he did.
these were the people who first told me about a race of highly intelligent beings which they called the Chitauri.
Okay, so the secret society, basically as part of his initiation, on top of the circumcision, was they basically robbed a grave, took the hand of a corpse, told him to cook it and eat it, which he did. And this secret society told him about the Chitauri. Now, some people, now you guys know I don't really watch movies. Well, you know what I mean? I haven't seen many movies and TV shows, right? When I first watched this interview, which was a while ago, and I saw this bit, and he says, these people told me about a race of beings called the Chitauri, I was like, oh, cool. I've never heard of that before. We've got a name. I'll go Google that. Like, who is the Chitauri? Guys, look at this. Okay? This is just on Grok. Some of you guys who watch movies and shit will already know this, but this is insane. I just said to Grok, what is the Chitauri? The Chitauri are a fictional alien race from the Marvel comic universe, most famously depicted as a cybernetically enhanced invaders in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Here's a breakdown of their origins and characteristics. Comic origins, creations, and role. Introduced in 2002. So the first time Marvel ever wrote or told about the Chitauri was 3 years after this interview happened. And they are portrayed as shape-shifting extraterrestrials who infiltrate and conquer planets by mimicking local species and erasing free will. viewing themselves as the immune system of the universe that eliminates chaos and disorder. I'm out. I'm done, bro. I'm done. What is this? What is actually going on? What is this? Okay. It gets weirder though. It actually gets weirder. Stay with me. Stay with me. Highly intelligent and manipulative. They prefer covert operations over direct assaults. They've attempted Earth invasions during World War II, thwarted by Captain America. Are you telling me the Marvel universe is real? Is based on real stories? Higher ranking Chitauri possess superhuman strength and they operate from a harsh homeworld called Chitauri Prime. And then, so this is back in the comic books, right? In 2002. Then it gets to the movies. First seen in The Avengers in 2012. The Chitauri are a cold-blooded reptilian warrior species enhanced with cybernetic armor and neural networks from birth. They function as a hive mind army controlled by a central mothership. Destroying it severs their coordination and revealed in Avengers Endgame in the deleted scenes. Never seen it. Probably should watch it. Maybe we'll do a movie night soon. What else did I want to show you guys about this? But then I just said to Grok, when did Marvel first create the Chitauri, either in movie or comic books? And it says the earliest appearance in the comics was 2002. The Chitauri this is in 2002. The Chitauri are introduced as shape-shifting alien infiltrators posing as Nazis during World War II and later as a global threat in the modern day. And basically a similar thing there in the movies. And then I just said, explain to me what the Chitauri are and what their agenda is in the Marvel Universe. And it said, the Chitauri are a fictional alien species in the Marvel Universe existing in two main versions, the Ultimate Marvel Comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so the comics and the movies, essentially. In the comics, they are shape-shifting reptilian humanoids capable of perfectly mimicking humans, cold-blooded, highly intelligent, and long-lived, operate under a rigid hive-like hierarchy. They view themselves as the immune system of the universe. They believe chaos, individuality, and free will are diseases that must be eradicated. And they have advanced biotechnology, cloaked ships, neural control devices, and infiltration pods. Their agenda is infiltrate planets over centuries, replacing their leaders with Chitauri duplicates. They erase individuality, turning civilizations into obedient, harmonious collectives. Earth was a prime target. During World War II, they backed the Nazis as a test run, defeated by Captain America. In the 21st century, they launched a full invasion, nearly winning until stopped by the Ultimates, the Avengers. Bro, what the fuck is going on? Seriously, like this is cooked. Their agenda in the movies, they are not independent conquerors. They are mercenaries under Thanos' command. Loki borrowed them via the Mind Stone Scepter to invade Earth in 2012. The goal is to open a portal using the Tesseract to conquer Earth as a foothold for Thanos. No grand philosophy, just brute force domination on behalf of a higher power. Fun fact, Chitauri was inspired by David Icke's conspiracy theories about reptilian aliens called Chitauri who allegedly control Earth from underground bases, a nod that Marvel writers included as an Easter egg. Yeah, okay, bro. Okay, bro. So there you go, right? Some people who have watched Marvel probably would have picked up on a lot of this already. You guys know I haven't seen a lot of that stuff. So I discovered it this way by seeing the interview first and then seeing that and being like, oh, so the Marvel movies are another documentary. We've got They Live, we've got The Abyss, we've got Men in Black, we've got, I mean, they just feel like they're all documentaries at this point. Absolutely insane. We'll keep going with this in a sec. I'm the Fat, celebrating 1 month as a member, says, what kind of crew wants you to do that? The 4 skinheads. I like it. Very good, sir. Michael Gibbons with 3 months says, it's fantastic to see you have been doing these discussions of the early David Icke interviews. Had these on DVD many years ago. Fascinating. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. We've got to keep these alive. And S. Flesher, Steve, has gifted 5 memberships. Stevie, my man, always supporting. Thank you. And Michael Gibbons says the Polarity Circumcision Private Members Club. Yeah, thankfully, when you become a member, you get access to the member section on the Discord, but circumcision is not required. We do not do that in the Polarity compound. Thank you very much.
The talkers, a race of creatures which look like reptiles, who have ruled the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
And guys, 3 years before Marvel, Credo Mutwa was saying this. He's not selling a book. He's not trying to get likes on Instagram. I mean, come on, slap a like on the video for Credo. And guys, I stocked up on mental health 20% off discount vouchers today, and you can redeem them at the end of the video as long as you have slapped the like button. Okay, you're going to need them after this one, trust me.
Through this dreadful act, I was able to gain knowledge which was denied to even the highest Sangomas, because they would not
It doesn't have
go
subtitles.
through the ritual I went through.
You just got to listen real close.
This is how secret knowledge is protected in Africa. And at one time, let me tell you another thing. Again, in Barotse land, on the border between Angola and North Rhodesia, as it was called, I was brought into a hut. And in the hut was a young woman. She was as black as ebony, and her hair was like a huge black cloud on her head. Her teeth had been sharpened in the Barotse fashion until they looked like those of a reptile. And Mutwa was very puzzled. What's this lady doing here? I'm supposed to spend several nights in this hut, so what is she? What is she doing here? Now, Credo Mutwa, being a frightened Zulu, afraid of women but not afraid of wild animals, decided to sleep with his back to the wall, giving the lady a nice clean bed. And on the following day, Credo Mutwa was fined 15 pounds by the local chief because I had refused a sacred gift. I had been supposed to do something very amazing to this lady to show that I was one of the people.
Bad luck.
Bad luck. But
Why, Credo, have you chosen to reveal this knowledge now to a much, much wider audience?
Mr. David, please, Africa is dying. Africa, is being murdered. And we are sitting like bloody fools. And we don't realize what's being done to our people. Sir, I have proof that can stand in any true court of law that the disease called AIDS is a man-made disease. And this disease is going to kill 3/4 of South Africa's black people within the next 10 years.
He's saying AIDS is a man-made disease. It's going to kill off a whole bunch of Africans in the next 10 years. I mean, that's not the first time I've heard that. I know a lot of people think that. Makes me wonder, like, was COVID just like AIDS 2.0? Obviously, it's a little bit different, but yeah, what I'm saying is, like, did it have the same kind of intended end goal? Like, were they both just sort of about population control? Kind of seems like it.
Sir, there are wars in Africa which make no sense to me as a black man. Please, sir, when people fight a war, Mr. David, why do they fight? People fight in order to get rid of something that is giving them pain. Whether that something is a tribal chief or a corrupt modern government. They want to fight to remove this burden or to be destroyed by it. That is the idea behind a rebellion. But in Africa we find wars where a group of rebels challenges a government and tries to fight against it. And then these wars end in the total destruction of that particular country, where neither the rebels nor the government wins anymore. And why? Because you find this force of rebels facing the government, and all of a sudden the rebel army splits into little factions which start fighting each other and not the real enemy. And soon it becomes a situation where everybody is fighting everybody else and the whole thing is getting nowhere. I say that these wars which are destroying Africa this way are orchestrated by forces from outside Africa. Our people need development. Our people need peace in Africa. We are basically a peaceful people. We are not warlike. Don't let historians tell you a lot of rubbish. Africa is not perceived by the people outside her as she really is. One, my people are Zulus, as a tribe famous for warrior exploits for many, many years now. But wait, do you know, sir, that Zulu people actually hated war and didn't love it, as historians would have you believe? We Zulu people call war impi, I-M-P-I, and we call evil imbi or ububi. Now the word imbi and the word imbi come from exactly the same root, which means that which is evil. We call copper itusi, which means the helper, the frightener away of evil spirits. But we call iron insimbi, which means the evil metal, the metal of war. Now, when a Zulu went to battle, he spiritually prepared himself for fighting. But when he came back from battle, a Zulu would undergo a ceremony of purification, a very, very painful ritual, which lasted for some 7 days before he was even allowed to touch his wife. But wait for this. In England, we have got the lady Sarah Churchill, Duchess of Marlborough, writing in her diary that her husband, Sir John Churchill, the Duke of Marlborough, after the terrible Battle of Blenheim, had made love to her 3 times while still wearing his top boots. Wait, sir. Listen to that. Here is a man coming into his tent or whatever it was, with his boots still stinking with the blood of horses and the blood of men, and probably with human flesh still attached to the soles of those boots. Here is this man making love to his wife. What kind of attitude is that? That a man would come smelling of death and destruction to desecrate his wife in 3 torrid sessions?
Maggie says, what on earth is the purpose of mutilation? I mean, good question. I've heard people discuss that it is like, often it's, I mean, if we're talking about circumcision here, which I assume we are, I've seen people discuss the idea that it's almost like the first form of like breaking someone's spirit. Like, like when we talk about like MK Ultra victims and they go through trauma that kind of fragments their soul and they become more easily controllable. And a lot of that trauma is sexual trauma, right? This mutilation done to your sexual reproductive organ is allegedly one of the first forms of that happening. And, obviously that's not the case for everyone because it's a pretty semi-common thing in the West that like happens to people. So, it's not like everyone who's been circumcised is like, that's the reason behind it, but maybe in its roots, in its origins, that's potentially where it comes from. Look, to everyone saying, where are the subtitles? There are no subtitles on this, unfortunately. You're just going to have to listen real close, focus. And I would say a lot of the times, good knowledge is not easy to come by. You have to do a little bit of work for it. And sometimes listening to rough audio and concentrating and focusing, you get a lot more out of it than just any normal video on YouTube with subtitles. It's easy to hear.
Never did that in Africa. We hated war, and furthermore, our people, the black people of Southern Africa, are accused of having been a male-dominated society. Absolute bloody poppycocks. Zulus were a female-dominated society. And if you want proof of that, ask yourself, who killed King Shaka? Who planned Shaka's murder? Two women, twins, Mama and Mkabai, Shaka's aunts. Who was the greatest advisor of King Shaka? His mother Nandi. She used to plan every one of Shaka's military campaigns right down to the last detail. So, everywhere in South Africa, our word for great also means female, but that is something we shall discuss at another time. So, Africa is being murdered, and a race of people which once founded some of the world's greatest civilizations is being cruelly exterminated, and our politicians appear to be hypnotized as like a little antelope hypnotized by a python. Don't our leaders know what is going on in Africa? I'm going to talk, sir. I'm going to talk and I'm going to reveal and damn the consequences. I am not a brave man, but it's high time somebody stood up and exposed the conspiracy around Africa and her people.
So let's start looking then at the force that is the common theme through all this history to the present day that's been manipulating these highly malevolent, highly destructive situations. My own research around the world has certainly focused in on the fact that there is a force, not of this world, shall we say, that is the common theme. What is your experience and your knowledge of an extraterrestrial involvement in the history of Africa?
Here we go.
One of the most secret stories that was revealed to me, sir, is about these beings. This story was revealed to me first in Barotseland, then in the country today called Rwanda, once known as Rwanda Urundi. Then I learned about this story at that time on the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro. This is the story, a story you find throughout Africa. There was once a time when the blue sky was invisible, when the whole world was covered with mist, when you could not see the sun as it is now. You only saw it as a splash of white light moving slowly across the sky. At that time, there was an eternal drizzle.
Yeah, sorry, that's a great point, Taras. For anyone who's really struggling and can't deal with trying to listen without captions, if you wait until the stream is finished, the closed captions usually upload within like an hour to 2 hours, and you'll be able to watch it with captions. Just quickly, Maxine gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Maxine. Maggie, $2 sticker. Thank you very much. Richo says, someone just said that Jack Parsons' real name is Marvel. If that's true, that's some crazy shit. Bro, if that is true, I'm probably done. I think that'll be it for me. It will be just pack up and I'm going to head out for good. Can anyone fact check that one? And I'm Carpet with a $5 sticker. Thank you very much, sir. Let's keep going.
Every day of the year. At that time, people could not see the stars. People only saw the trees growing, trees which were very, very big. There was no desert at that time, only jungle everywhere where you went. At that time, say, people were what we call in Zulu, ngubili. A human being was both male and female in one body. And out of the sky, one day, came terrible objects. They were like gigantic balls made of huge gleaming gold.
Saying out of the sky came terrifying objects. They were like giant bowls gleaming with gold, is how I interpreted what he just said.
They were shaped like bows without strings, and they were bigger than the biggest mountains. They came out of the sky bringing great noise, black smoke, and fire with them. And out of those huge objects,
balls or bowls?
Came
Not sure.
them. At that time, sir, human beings could not speak. We had no gift of language at that time.
From Grok, Jack Parsons' real name was Marvel Whiteside Parsons. All right, I'm fucking done, bro. I'm done. The Marvel series is a documentary. A documentary sold to you as fiction. So anyone who begins to question things and actually uncover what is actually going on, everyone just goes, yeah, bro, you watch too much Marvel. It's the perfect disinformation tactic, really. I mean, look, I don't know if it is or not, but like, my God, it's at this point, I definitely need to make sure I've liked the video to get my 20% off at my mental health facility. But it really does seem like they tell you the truth and put it in your face and pretend that like it's a funny story. And then that way it's like anyone who actually works out the truth is people are just like, no, you just watch too many movies. Like I actually couldn't think of a better disinformation tactic. You don't have to worry about people finding out because you just tell them and pretend it's a joke.
And people had, however, great mental power. A man would go into the bush and using the power of his mind actually call out an animal which he wanted to hunt and kill for his children. And the animal would appear and kneel down before the man, and the man would kill the animal and take it home. But when the Chitauri arrived in Africa, They told our people that they were gods. And
When the Chitauri, the reptilians, arrived in Africa, they told the people that they were gods. And can we just note, like, on this rock statue, which is of a Chitauri face that he's holding, look at how that ridge in the middle of the head looks exactly like the Kyle Odom picture. For those of you who were with us on the birthday live stream, we did the first little bit of Reptile Week there. We looked at Kyle Odom's story, the guy who shot a church pastor with 5 or 6 hollow point rounds, like 4 in the body, 1 in the head or something like that. And the guy lived. And he did it because he believed he saw him shapeshift or believed he was a reptilian. And he drew a picture of him and it had the same shaped head with this, like, you know, dinosaur ridge thing on the top. I don't know what those things are called, but like you see them on lizards and stuff.
that they were going to give us human beings great gifts on one condition. We had to worship them and accept them as our creators. Some told our people that they were our elder brothers and that this earth had produced them generations ago. And they said they had come back to the green womb of their mother and that they were going to make us into gods. What they did, they created a very strange pair of caves in the land. They dug 2 caves. In one cave was a green light, in another cave was a red light.
I'm going to pull it up now so you guys can see.
And they drove human beings into these caves. And each human being had to choose which cave the human being wanted to go into. And those who went into the green cave came out as women. And those who went into the red cave came out as men.
So this is the picture drawn by Kyle Odom, who's in prison now for shooting this church pastor, who he believed was not human, and that he saw him shapeshift in front of his face, and that's what he looked like. And you can't help but note this distinct shape on its head in both of these things. And obviously, yeah, this interview's 1999. This drawing is... Actually, I don't know. Can someone in the chat let us know when the Kyle Odom thing took place?
And then the talkers, the Chitauri, told our people that now they were perfect. But the moment the first men saw the first women, a terrible row erupted. The women hated the men because they looked between their legs and they saw what they thought were snakes dangling between the legs of the men. And the men hated...
I get confused with the same thing. I often think it's a snake. Yep, it happens all the time.
Because they looked on their chests and they saw these big things. What they were, they did not know.
Okay, so Kyle Odom was 2016. So this is 17 years later. Well, this interview is 17 years prior to that picture being drawn.
And then the Chitauri laughed. It was to them a very, very big joke. And then the Chitauri said, if you serve us, you wretched little human beings, we are going to make you into gods. And the human beings agreed to serve the Chitauri. And the Chitauri gave human beings a second gift, the gift of language. People started talking with their tongues where they had talked with their minds before. And there was a big rubbish starting again, because this man did not know the language of that man. And when this man greeted that man, this man thought that he was being insulted, and so a lot of murder and culpable homicide started taking place all over the world. When our people were given language, they found to their horror that they had lost much of their mental powers. They had paid a terrible price. But the Chitauri were now the masters of human beings. They made them, the human beings, to go into holes in the ground and to mine metal, gold, copper, tin, all kinds of metal. The Chitauri forced our people to mine. And the people were very unhappy because they couldn't cope with the new sexual differences which were there now between men and women. And then, from amongst the Chitauri came a very good female Chitauri. Her name was Mai Nzarantwari Samahongo. Mai Nzarantwari Samahongo was the senior wife of the terrible chief of the Chitauri, Umbaba Gorontwari Samahongo. She was sorry for human beings, this great reptile lady. She said to the poor people, "Ow, you are unhappy." And the people said, "Yes, great one. We go into the holes every day, we dig the stones and we bring it to the gods, but we are not happy." And Mai Nzarantwari scratched her scaly chin and began to think and to think. She was terribly ugly. Her eyes were awful, like lights in the darkness. But she had mercy in her heart, and she taught the men and the women how to make love. And she said, "Look, we divided you into males and females. Now this action is going to bring you together." But it did not, because anyone who receives a gift from the Ntwari, the children of the python, is always in trouble. What happened was that when one guy slept with his wife, he didn't find her much, so he went to steal another guy's wife, and there was a big remorse, as we say in Afrikaans, starting. So men started stealing each other's wives and each other's girlfriends, and women started stealing each other's husbands. And
so this sounds like the actual original pilot season of Love Island that took place in Africa 7,000 years ago. People are just stealing each other's partners, having sex with each other. This was the actual inspiration for Love Island, I believe.
There was a big nonsense in the land. And King Umbaba, the terrible lord of the Ntwari, the reptile people, said, "Look what you've done, you stupid old woman. Now these people, they are making such a noise. Listen to all that screaming in the bush. They are busy making love there, and our gold is not being dug, and you are responsible for this."
So they're getting upset that the people just started having sex with each other and they stopped working. They stopped being slaves because they were too busy enjoying themselves. I respect that. Susie, celebrating 7 months as a weirdo. She says, "I'm 7 months old. Yippee." Thank you very much, Susie. 7 months of great times together. And Monkey Sausage says, just dropping in to drop a quid or two. Mr. Monkey Sausage, thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day.
Nzarantwari bought and bought and bought and bought, and then she got a plan. And she said, "I will make them stop. When they make love to each other, the female is going to get pregnant. And when she is pregnant, the male is going to leave her alone. And that noise in the bush will not be so disturbing to you, my lord." And Umbaba said, "You had better. There is no production yet." And so all the women in the world was pregnant, and Umbaba was furious with his wife. And so it went on and on until one day Nzarantwari activated a black hero called Mweru. And Mweru challenged the great chief of the serpent people to a fight, and he cut off the royal penis of the king of the snake people, and that caused a big war. Mweru ran away, but Umbaba, the terrible chief of the people, caught him and arrested him and brought him to his village. And there, the great chief Korontwari Umbaba said, look, you cut off my thing, and I have replaced it with one made of gold, and I can't make love to my wife anymore. You think too much, you wretched little human being. Now, Umbaba had a terrible nail in one.
So he's saying that... I can't believe I'm about to say this. Where's my button? I haven't even said it yet.
Get this man to a hospital now!
I'm just preempting it. He's saying that the leader of the reptilians got his penis cut off and in a fight, and they had to replace it with a gold one, and he's upset about that. Now, the reason why I'm pausing it to say it is because in the Arizona Wilder interview, they talk about Pindar, which is like the golden phallus of the reptilians, or something like that. It's something to that effect. Either like the... Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that is it. So it's just interesting to hear that kind of correlation there.
Get this man to a hospital now!
Yeah, thank you.
His hand, a claw, and with this claw, he drove the claw into poor Mweru's nostril, making a terrible hole into his brain, and he started drinking Mweru's brain, and then he threw away the corpse. To this day, we believe that the people, the Chitauri people, they eat human brains. And strangely enough, scientists have found skulls where the human brain has been removed and eaten by someone or something.
Well,
Why does everyone keep saying Umbaba in the chat? Is it just because it sounds funny, or does it reference something? Because I can't think of anything else called Umbaba. Umbaba and Pindar. So is this name referenced elsewhere? Because I can't think of where. Let me know.
hearing you speak here, so many things come to mind. First of all, you're saying that telepathy was...
It's just funny? I thought so.
...communication before the Chitauri, the reptilians came.
Yes.
And I guess it's like a muscle.
Jacob Barber.
When you use it, it gets more sensitive and more powerful. So the more you use your telepathy, the more powerful your mind got. And then when language came, it almost brought us in.
What happened to David's mic?
...dimensional world and disconnected us from that mind power.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's also interesting that the story that you talk about, the language being given, and then the different languages being given. Of course, that turns up in the Old Testament, in the Bible, and it turns up in stories all over the world about the fact that we were divided by language so we couldn't communicate. And as someone who publishes books, I know today how difficult it is to communicate through books when you've got endless different languages. So it's been a brilliant form of control for a long time.
Yes, similar to the old Egyptian story of the god chopped into 14 pieces. Interesting. I can't say I'm familiar with that, but it sounds like just another example of, you know, the same story being told from a different perspective or another lens or with a different cultural interpretation of what they're seeing. And it's the same story that sounds different depending on who's telling it from around the world.
Even now here in South Africa,
Osiris.
today, black people prefer to speak to each other in English if they belong to different tribes. And they have even, over the many decades, black youths have even created a lingua franca of their own, which we call Tsotsi language, which is a mixture of African words and Afrikaans words. They do
Lucy.
this in order to bridge the incredible language gap which exists between black people in South Africa. Let me show you an amusing thing, how different languages are. The language of the Xhosa people of the Eastern Cape is very similar to Zulu, but certain important words in the Zulu language, good words, are viewed as obscenities by the Xhosa people. For example, in the language of the Zulus, an ancestral spirit is called Idlozi. But if you use that word to a Xhosa, he says you are using a dirty word, because to them, Idlozi means sexual desire. And in the language of the Zulus, mili meal, maize meal, is known as impuphu. But in the language of the Bapedis, maize meal is called bupi, and if a Zulu uses the word impuphu in front of a Bapedi woman, she feels that he has insulted her, because in the Bapedi language, impuphu means a woman's sexual organ. And in the language of the Mashonas, in the language of the Zulus, a mother is called mama. If I say my mother, I say mama wami. But in the language of the Mashona, the people of Eastern Zimbabwe, the word mama means to sit down and have a crack. So one day when I said to my Mashona host, "Ngikhumbule umama," which in Zulu is, I remember my mother, I'm missing my mother, the Mashona gentleman immediately took me and directed me to his pit latrine at the back of his house. Because in the Mashona way, mother is mine, not mine. So you see this terrible difficulty, this subtle problem of language is a very big obstacle to communication in Africa. So we designed languages. There's another language called Fanagalo, which is a lingua franca consisting of African words as well as nonsense words and Zulu words, which was used a lot in the mines in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. So to bridge this great language gap, we have created artificial languages in Africa, but today English is the preferred language of communication. Some say...
I still can't believe that Jack Parsons' real name is Marvel. That's blowing my mind. Like, is the Marvel Universe story based on Jack Parsons and whatever the hell they did?
We should learn French, also another language of communication in Africa.
Some of the problems of language can be funny, but it is the same situation, the divide and rule, that is actually, in other expressions, created this tremendous turmoil in Africa and other places in the world. And we're looking from my research, and staggeringly hearing you talk, you're saying exactly the same as I've come across. It's incredible confirmation that a reptilian race from another world has been behind the manipulation of humanity for a very, very long time. Now, what do these Chitahuli actually look like, the reptiles?
Here we go. We're going to find out what the Chitauri look like. I'm Carpet, says, good night, Polarity family. Y'all are the best community on the internet. Thank you, Josh. I would have to agree with you. I do think this is the best community on YouTube, and I may be biased, but I stand by it. All That I Know says, I'm redacting myself. I'll catch you on the rebound. I'll see you later, sir.
Redacted.
And Woodnut Insider leaves a very strange comment. Thank you very much, sir. Here we go. There it is. That's what they look like.
I'm not a good artist,
You're a pretty good artist.
Me, that's for sure.
but
He drew that.
this is how we believe the Chitauri look like. They were created in this. You see, sir, you white people say that there are alien beings on this earth. No, you are wrong. The earth in which we live has produced 24 different races during its long existence. Please, sir,
Daniel says it looks like my mum.
this is how a Chitauri looks like. It stands about 11 feet high. It is a very slender being which seems not to have a bone structure. Its fingers have no joints. They are more as if the bones in here were flexible. Some of the Chitauri have got 3 claws with a thumb. Some have got 6 claws with a thumb. And some of the Chitauris have got horns on their heads.
Oh, you mean like Jeffrey Epstein did when he shapeshifted in front of Juliet Bryant? That's crazy.
And what surprises me is this. Some film producers, like the producers who make the film Star Wars,
Okay, Star Wars.
often show creatures in their films which actually exist.
Oh, Credo. Credo. So what you're telling me, Credo, is that they put things in the movies that are actually real. Well, ain't that something? Ain't that something to hear from Credo, who is telling us about the Chitauri, who Marvel ended up doing a series on 3 years after this interview. That's crazy, bro.
Which even the most uneducated of Africans who knows this Chitauri can identify. For example, in the new Star Wars film,
Tell
what
me.
is it called? Star Wars or something like that. There is a creature who amazes me called Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul is a red and black being with a ring of small horns right round his head. That is exactly what the Chitauri look like. Some have got ordinary heads without any horns on their heads.
Some have
These
horns,
are
some
the
don't.
lesser Chitauri. But the royal Chitauri have got a ring of sharp horns all around their heads.
The royal ones have the rings of horns, almost like a crown. I wonder what a crown is inspired from. Who came up with the idea of a crown? It looks like a ring of horns.
And the very high Chitauri, like their king, Mubaba Samahongo, they have got very long horns which grow this way. Not that way like a bull, but this way like
Interesting
certain
details.
antelopes. Now, I just wonder where these film producers get their information from. And in one strange film, which my student called me to come and watch, the thing called Stargate 2. And in that film,
Stargate
there
2.
was a creature,
I haven't seen it.
a very slimy, cream-colored creature with heavy wrinkles on its face. It was a spitting likeness of Mubaba Samahongo, the terrible emperor of the Chitauri.
Does anyone know? Okay, Stargate 2. Does anyone know the movie and is able to link, or is anyone able to post the picture of what he's talking about in the Discord, and I'll pull it into the stream right now. Let me know in the chat if you know what he's referring to, if you've got me. Let's pull that up. We're going to pull that up into the chat. We're going to get Darth Maul up. And we're going to get this other one that he's talking about. I've got Darth Maul here. And I'm also going to bring back up Kyle Odom's picture as well. Bear with me. Bear with me. We're going to get back to this very soon. We don't really have time to waste, to be honest, because this is a long stream today. Once we've got it, let me know what channel it's in Discord, and I'll pull it in. I have Darth Maul here. We're going to put this up now. We're going to bring back Kyle Odom as well. Okay, there we go. We got Darth Maul. We got Kyle Odom. Well, it's not Kyle Odom. It's what he saw his church pastor turn into, allegedly. Maybe he means the series. I'm not sure. Maybe, but he did say Stargate the movie. He said Stargate 2. I did, to be honest, I know I said I hadn't seen it, but I had never heard of Stargate 2 either. I'm just going to check Discord real quick. Actually, I'll press play, but I'm going to keep an eye on Discord to see if we can get anything else pulled up here.
Well, clearly there's a tremendous amount of knowledge of what's been going on and what is going on, which comes out symbolically through films and areas of communication like Hollywood. But the thing that I'm totally stunned the more I talk to you about this is because I've been all over the world having people give me descriptions of seeing reptilian type figures, particularly people in positions of power in the world, changing into a reptilian figure and coming back again. And what they describe seeing is exactly what the knowledge of ancient Africa talks about seeing. We're talking about the same people there, which is an astonishing confirmation. And the eyes is something that keeps coming up being described. Tell me about...
Apparently it's from Stargate Continuum. It's called Stargate Continuum, if anyone can find the thing that he's referring to there.
The eyes of the Chitauri.
Say, a warrior Chitauri has got eyes like a snake. These
warrior
eyes are yellowish with split pupils, and they glow in darkness. So if a warrior Chitauri, one of the lesser classes, is hiding in a cave, you can see its eyes burning. But a royal Chitauri has got 3 eyes. It's got the yellow eyes, which glow in a strange, almost
we've got it.
ice-like way.
Shout out to Nell,
like
legend.
Jewels, like certain types of yellow jewel. And then they have got an eye in the center of their forehead. An eye which doesn't close up down like a normal eye does, but which closes from side to side and which opens this way. Now this eye of the Chitauri is the eye that kills, because it can knock a man down just by the fire, the glare that comes out of it.
Is this where the constant recurring theme of the evil eye comes from?
Yes.
Sounds like a basilisk, what he just described, that they can like kill you with their gaze or whatever.
Yes. In fact, Mubaba, the emperor of the Chitauri, who is said to be still alive today, Mubaba has got a central eye. His other 2 eyes were stitched shut.
So we have this schizophrenic mood board happening now, guys. We're building the schizophrenic mood board. This may even give you an additional 10% off at your local mental health facility on top of your 20% that you will get after you've liked the video. You must like the video though, and then at the end of the stream you get 20% off. So make sure you do.
By a jealous wife. But his killing eye, the summer hongo, the terrible red eye, open. He can even open it like this. Mr. David, I would like to share a little thing with you. It is this. The best way to protect an evil thing is to deny its existence. And if you talk about things such as the Chitauri, if you talk about things such as the Mandinda, there are many people who say to you, rubbish, this thing does not exist. Now, in this way, this great evil is protected by being denied. One day in my long travels through the world, I was in New York in that place called Harlem. And I saw a graffiti on a wall along a passage. And the graffiti was, there is no such a thing as the mafia, and we will kill any asshole who says that there is. In this, again and again, in America, people deny the existence of the mafia, and by denying it, actually protect it wittingly or unwittingly. There are those who deny that a national and international conspiracy exists. They deny it ferociously, but by denying it, they are actually assisting it and actually protecting it. We must stop denying the existence of these things. We must stop saying that there are no Chitauri, that there are no aliens, that there are no Illuminati. There are. I could tell you for hours. For example, do you know what we Zulu people call a person? A very, very clever person. A very, very wise person. A person who has received light from God. We call him Umkhanyiselwa. In other words, the illuminated one. Khanyisa means to light up something. And Umkhanyiselwa is somebody who has been lighted up by the gods. So you say Illuminati, I say Umkhanyiselwa. It's the same thing.
And my research very clearly, and again, you're right, there's tremendous denial of this is the fact. Even among conspiracy researchers, there's tremendous denial that the Chitahuli, the Reptilians, and the Illuminati are actually the same thing.
Exactly, sir. Because
The Chitauri and the Illuminati are the same thing. I'm still kind of looking at this Darth Maul thing, right? And, you know, my memory of Darth Maul, I knew he had the horns, but I couldn't really remember how they sat. They really do sit like a crown. Like, you know, from memory, I thought he had them over the middle too, but they're in a perfect circle around the edge, literally just like a crown. And Credo Mutwa said the warrior class of the Chitauri all had this like what he has. And Darth Maul was like I mean, my memory is not great, but Darth Maul was like some kind of warrior emissary or something like that. And maybe someone in the chat who knows Star Wars a little bit better can refine that for me. But he was some sort of like assassin or something like that.
amongst my people, we say that when two Chitauri are challenging each other for power, and they must fight a duel with their terrible eyes. They start glowing like fishes deep in the sea, and the faster they glow, the angrier they are said to be.
He was a Sith Lord. Yeah, I did know that, but maybe I don't actually fully know what a Sith is. Is a Sith like an assassin? He's like they're part of some kind of order that is, I guess, their objective is to kill the Jedi, which are, you know, I've talked about this on the channel before, that like Star Wars, the whole thing seems like some kind of analogy for real life, in that the Jedis tap into the Force, which is like this invisible field of like consciousness around them that they can use to like manipulate and bend reality. It's the baddies. Yeah, so I knew the Siths are bad, but I'm talking about Darth Maul specifically. Like he was like wasn't he like sent there to take someone out? Like he was tasked with going somewhere like a warrior, like an assassin with a job or something to do.
Now that is why there are certain parts of Africa where people are advised not to walk at night, because that is where the Chitauri often fight. And one of these parts of Africa, sir, is a remarkable place called the Mountains of the Round Rocks, Matopo, wrongly pronounced Matopo, in Zimbabwe. These hills are really not remarkable in themselves. These hills are said to be the one place in Africa where the Chitauri have been seen. And these hills is where Cecil John Rhodes lies buried, but there is more. You must visit this place at one time. Amongst the rocks on the Matopo Mountains, you find a species of lizard which you don't find anywhere in Africa or the world. A species of lizard which responds to the call of a human being. When I first arrived in 1958 in the land called Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe, I found an African there who was a tourist attraction. He was a game warden who made strange sounds, calling out, and as he called out, these strange lizards, the only type of lizard anywhere on earth which responds to the human voice, used to come out of cracks and out of holes in the ground and to gather around this African. And it was this African game warden who told me that the sounds he is making are not just noise. They are the speech of the Chitauri star gods.
Isn't it a staggering coincidence that Cecil Rhodes, one of the greatest Illuminati frontmen, perhaps certainly of modern times, who did so much to imprison Africa, should choose to be buried at the point where this is all going on?
You see, sir, Cecil John Rhodes went his way into the hearts of Africans, and in their despair, wise men of the Mashona people, wise men of Matebele people, tried to make Cecil John Rhodes one of them. They told him about the secrets of the Matopo Mountains, that under the Matopo Mountains lies a city of great wisdom, which is the home of the last survivors of the Chitauri god beings in that part of Africa. And if you go to the Matopo Mountains and you carry a
Can anyone make out specifically or know what mountains he's referring to here? Like, it sounds like he's saying like Matoba Mountains. He's saying underneath. So this Matoba Mountains is where a unique species of lizard lives. One that he said responds to human language. Matobo. Let me look this up. And he's saying underneath it is where they live. Okay, it is the Matoba Mountains. I'll pull this up for you guys quickly so you can have a look. This is Matoba National Park in Zimbabwe. We zoom right out here. This is where we are. And I believe this interview is taking place in South Africa, which makes sense because it's just below it. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going.
Redacted.
Nope, that's not it.
4-pound hammer, and you strike certain parts of that landscape with that hammer, it gives out a hollow sound which shows you that there are caverns deep underground there. There are two sets of mountains. There is the Matobo Mountains, and then to the east of Zimbabwe, there are the great mountains known as the Inyangani, the Weeping Moon Mountains.
Wait.
Even now,
Hold the phone. In Yangani, that's where Pat Price, that's one of the mountains that Pat Price remote viewed the alien base. Holy shite. Okay, hold up, Jamie. I'm pulling something up here. Okay, let's get rid of our schizophrenic friends for a moment. Okay. So this first one here is the Matoba Rocks. And then this is taking us over to Mount Inyangani. And this is the mountain that Pat Price remote viewed in the 70s and said it has an alien base underneath it. That is insane. And someone said there's like a really unique rock formation here at the Matoba Mountains. So let's just take a look at that quickly while we can. We should get a picture of it here. Any day now. Okay, can we see more? It's hard to get a scale on that. Wow. I mean, that is kind of wild. So this isn't the one that Pat Price viewed. This is the Matoba Mountains or the Matoba Rocks. This is that guy that he was just talking about, that Illuminati guy, Cecil John Rhodes. What the hell is going on here? Wow, this place looks crazy. Maybe we'll go there. Maybe Josh Stradamus TV will go there. Whoa, that's cool. Look at that. Looks pretty natural. Everything looks pretty natural and organic to me. Yep, rocks definitely. Yeah, look, that's just natural rock formation there. Absolutely. Nothing to see here. Love Island starts in 10 minutes. Back to your lives, folks. Don't worry about it.
people disappear without trace. Sometimes a person would disappear for several days and reappear a few days later, not knowing where he had been or where she had been. And white people have disappeared there. Black people in their thousands have disappeared there. It was there that I also went missing for 4 days in 1959 in one of the most traumatic experiences of my life.
So Credo Mutwa has been abducted multiple times through his life, and he's about to tell you the story of, I think, perhaps the first time that this happened to him. He went missing for days in 1959. This is a story from 1959 that we're about to listen to. Just catching up on a couple, though. Tommy Bird, welcome back, sir. Thank you for the support. Rambro's gifted a membership as well, my brother. Richo says Sith are the evil version of Jedi. Yep, just like in real life, right? It's like when people in real life start to gain like esoteric knowledge, start to go down like a spiritual path, that literally kind of does like fork. People either go deep and end up worshipping Baal for power or some other form of, or people go down the road of light, and they want to shine a light and erase the darkness, just like a Jedi. Bro, Star Wars is a fucking documentary too. My God. 8U says, hey Josh, loving Reptile Week, but could we end Reptile Week with a positive, hopefully video if possible, not telling you how to suck eggs, but just a thought. Big love. Look, it's quite a challenge you're posing there. How can we spin a positive on the reptilian Illuminati manipulating human perception and controlling the world? But I'll do my best. And I'm going to go grab another Pepsi. I'm listening, though.
It's a long story, sir. My teacher, Elizabeth Moyo, had sent me to get a special herb which grows only on the foothills of those mountains. It was just an ordinary day like any other, just beautiful day like this one outside here. And I love the African wilderness. I'm at home in the bush, especially in the days when I was still in good health. I love the animals. I love their smell.
Little dopamine hit.
I love the smell of the vegetation. And I was looking for this herb when all of a sudden a bright blue mist fell all around me. It took me some time to react to this strange thing. It was a hot day, and all of a sudden the temperature around me dropped. It was as if I was on the slope of a very cold mountain, but it was a warm day. And then the next moment, I was in what appeared to be a metal-lined tunnel, a caving tunnel, and I was lying on what looked like a workbench, a very large workbench of some kind.
Hell yeah, Jesse.
An iron table which an engineer or somebody working with metal would use for welding and cutting metal upon. But this workbench was very brightly polished. And there I was lying there with my trousers missing and only my khaki shirt, when I saw again through what appeared to be like blue mist a number of moving objects, which at first I thought were dolls. And these objects were moving towards me. I noticed with mild surprise that they were very thin, short, human-like creatures with very, very large melon-shaped heads. The creatures had no noses.
Sounds familiar.
As human beings have. They had only small little holes on either side of where the nose would be, and their mouths were like knife cuts.
Where have we heard that before? Oh, just basically everyone who's ever had any kind of alien encounter.
Bottom of their faces. And these creatures were coming towards me. In color, they were gray like certain types of fish, and they wore silvery gray garments which reached up to their necks and up to their wrists. I couldn't see whether they were wearing boots or not at that time. And while I was looking at these creatures, I suddenly was aware that something was above me, standing there, and I looked up straight into the face of one of them, a much taller one than the others. And this creature was wearing a garment like a tight-fitting overall without any buttons or anything.
Another person who sees a grey wearing some kind of tight-fitting jumpsuit. So are all of these people making this up? Are they all copying each other? Are they all independently having the same hallucination? Or what the hell is actually going on here?
Which reached up to its neck. But
just like Skinny Bob, just like Jonathan Reed, just like the kids in Rua, Zimbabwe, not far away from all of this.
Were there. I noticed that the creatures had very long fingers. Its fingers had extra, and each of its fingers had an extra joint, and it ended in a claw, a black claw like that of a chicken or a certain kind of bird.
Yeah, I think everyone's probably just confused, to be honest. Everyone's just confused, and it's probably just a coincidence. Don't worry about it.
And that its thumb was not here, but here in the middle of the hand. And this thing was standing above my head and looking down at me, and I was looking at its eyes, which were very strange indeed. It was as if it was wearing plastic goggles over its eyes. I could see its eyes inside these tinted goggles, and it had holes on either side here, but it had no nose as I have. Its jaws were very small, and its mouth was a slit with tiny little scale-like things where its lips should be. And the creature carried a horrible smell on it.
Oh, and they smelt bad. Okay, cool. Everything's a lie.
I can't describe that smell. It was a metallic chemical smell which seemed to combine the smell you would smell when somebody is burning brass or copper. And
yeah, just like the girl said in Moment of Contact. Yep.
A very ugly chemical smell. These two smells combined. And this creature was looking down at me. I was frightened, but I could not move. And the next thing I knew was a terrible pain on my left thigh. It was as if somebody had just stabbed me right to the bone. I screamed and I tried to jump away, but my body was inactive.
You're paralyzed, just like every single other story, bro. What is going on here?
Move. I was not tied to any chain. I was not chained to the top of this table. There was no belt tying me, but I could not move my body. And when I looked down at what was happening, I found that one of the shorter creatures had driven something very painful into my left thigh. And then, while I watched, horrified, the creature pulled out this thing, and I saw that it was like a pencil made of shining metal.
One thing I will say that does seem to be different is, like when we hear about these stories, you know, the paralyzed, the greys will look the same. They smell like ass. All this stuff is the same. But when people say, you know, he just said it looked like a pencil but metal, I mean, that kind of sounds like a syringe or a needle or something like that, which you do hear of a lot. But what I feel like seems to differ almost every time is where the like injection site is. He just said in his thigh, Who was it the other day we were listening to? Someone said it went in their head. And, you know, people talk about like the nose as well. The stomach. There seems to be like always, I wonder if it's like for different places for different reasons, or it doesn't matter. I don't know. Interesting.
With what appeared to be a flexible cable at the back. And before I could do anything, sir, my head was seized by the creature above me. It caught me on either side of the head like this. And then third creature drove something into my right nostril here.
The nose?
It was as if I had been shot. The pain was so terrible that I screamed and screamed. Blood filled my mouth. Blood spurted out of the nostril. And the creature did not seem to care. I was stupefied. The pain was so intense, so terrible. And then, quietly, brutally, the creature pulled out the thing that it had stabbed in me in the nose with. And blood flowed into my mouth, out of my nostril, and I was choking. And then the big creature coldly turned my head this way, so that blood came out of the mouth, and which gave me some kind of relief. And after what seemed like an eternity of pain, the creature brought something out of somewhere, which looked like an old-fashioned tea strainer in appearance, and it put this thing close to my nose. And then I seemed to drift away, and the pain subsided. You know, sir, it was torture so intense that even now I can't describe it. And then something else happened. A fourth creature started rummaging between my legs and pulled out my organ of manhood and stuck something into that.
Oh.
It was very strange. But I wasn't feeling any pain now. But I could feel the flexible cable moving inside me, right into my body. And then, I can't describe it. It was as if my seed was being sucked out by this small, bright, flexible cable. And
his seed. They were extracting his seed. Burley Bob says, top of the morning, Home Slice. Love waking up to stories of ETs enslaving humanity. Thank you, Josh. There is no sweeter sugar in your coffee than a story of reptilians enslaving humanity. I would agree, sir. Thank you very much for the $5.
Then the creature just pulled it out. I screamed and I cried and I screamed, but I could not move. And then something happened which to this day still amazes me. After the creature had pulled out the flexible cable from my organ, the creature just stood there looking at my organ. And I was so terrified that I urinated and accidentally urinated against the chest of the creature.
Oh my God, he peed on an alien. He gave an alien a golden shower. That's got to be one of the first in history.
It jumped away as if I had shot it, and it stumbled backwards. But its face didn't show any expression. Its mouth didn't even open, but the way the creature reacted, trembling all over, It was as if I'd really hurt it, but it was wearing this kind of garment. And after that, I was left alone, except for the big creature which stood to my right side this time, with its arms folded, looking down at me. And then,
It's not funny, dude. Sorry, I'll go fuck myself. Sorry, man.
while I was looking at this creature, trying to appeal to it, no pain anymore, no pain, please, I was pleading. Pictures suddenly flooded my mind. Pictures of buildings sunk in a red lake of water. Buildings rotting away. Buildings that appeared as if they had been bombed. And cities sunk in terrible mud. Trees
I agree.
sticking
I agree,
out
Maggie.
like rotten ghosts. Trees without leaves, without branches, sticking out of the mud as if they'd been poisoned. I saw visions of this.
It's another classic theme, having visions imparted to them, to the experiences of like an apocalyptic world or a post-apocalyptic world.
And then, through an entrance which I had not seen before, came a strange and terrible beings. It was exactly like this. It was tall, made entirely of metal, with
Metal?
burning eyes and a snout. It didn't do anything. It just moved and came to stand at my left side. It didn't touch me or anything like that. It just stood there, making a strange humming sound.
First Cause says, what's funny is you make money off alien content. Oop. I've got a feeling First Cause is about to get a little retarded in the chat. I can feel it. He's simmering. He's simmering. The lid on the pot is going like this, and he's about to pop off and go full retard. I can feel it. I'm going to have to put you in timeout again, aren't I?
Whoa.
Come on, bro. Take a deep breath. Don't do this. You can, come on. Get yourself a glass of water. Take a deep breath and stay with us. Don't make me mute you, brother. Come on.
Wow. Like that. And then, from behind this metal creature, there appeared another creature. It was so radically different from the great creatures in that it looked exactly like an earthly human being. It had a pink skin like that of a white woman. It had golden hair, and its ears were definitely pointed like those of an animal. Its eyes were slightly slanting. They were pale blue, and never once did they blink. It was like this, nude, and there was a tail-like appendage at its back, which was very visible as it walked away after it had done to me what it did. What this thing did, it climbed over me and made love to me. And I noticed that unlike normal women, its breasts were set too high in its chest, and they were very, very hard in appearance.
That sounds a lot like Peter Corey's description. Kind of. The breasts, anyway. Peter Corey made a real point of really detailing what the breasts were like and the high quality of them. He was very clear about that. Kind of sounds a lot like how Credo is describing this being here as well. Kelly, thank you very much for the £5. She says, my son spent all day talking in Zimbabwean accents. I'm going to share this with them. Thank you for today's live. Love to you and Suki. That's amazing. Shout out to them. Thank you for the support. Zeitgeist with a little sticker. Hey, you. What's going on, my man? Richo says, great. Now we've all got to go fuck ourselves. Damn, what a shame. And Stidax says, take my money, please, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But how dare I make money off alien content, right? How dare I?
And that here, the pubic hair as well as the hair in the armpits, was a fiery red, as if it had been dyed. And this thing didn't even blink. Its eyes were just like this, looking at you as if there was no liquid in the eyes. Just an unblinking, terrible stare. And it was a small creature, about the size of a 16-year-old girl. But it was very, very heavy as it sat on top of me. And there was no emotion in that whole nonsense. There was no, I just... And then the creatures took me out of that room after the metal creature and this pink creature had gone. This
First Cause says, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know what we're going to do? We're going to spam First Cause with some love hearts because I think my brother clearly needs a bit of love in his life. So guys, can we show First Cause some love? So give him a good Polarity love heart spam session to make this man's day a little bit better because I think he needs it.
Creature took me out of that room, assisted by another one. And they pushed me along a corridor which curved slowly in that direction.
There you go, brother. Deep breath.
Right.
Deep breath.
And
you got this.
there I was shown many things which even today I don't understand. I was shown little versions of this creature swimming in huge cylinders made out of what looked like glass, in a pinkish liquid, like ugly little frogs inside the liquid. They looked like aborted human fetuses. They were very, very terrible and disgusting. And then we came to another room, and there I saw a number of people undergoing the same torture that I had undergone. One particular person whom I passed very close to was a white man, definitely a European, with a yellowish beard and moustache and long, straggly blood-crusted hair. This man looked into my eyes and I looked into his eyes, and we were so close we were as I went past him. Then, to cut a long story short, I found myself in
I think it's a bit late for that, Credo, but please go on.
the bush again. But I was wearing only my shirt. My boots were gone, and so was my trousers. So I took off my shirt and wore it around my waist as a loincloth. And I started traveling, not knowing really in which direction I was going. Then I came to a track, and I walked along that. And some time later, I saw people coming towards me. It was a group of young men and young women, Mashona people, and they were going to a trading store, I later learned. I asked them where Elizabeth Moyo's homestead was, and they directed me to it. But they kept a safe distance away from me. And later I learned why. I was carrying a horrible, non-human smell upon me. When at long last I came to Mrs. Moyo's village, all the dogs in that place went hysterical. They came at me in a pack, wanting to tear me to pieces, and only the villagers managed to save my life there. Mrs. Moyo asked me where I had been, and I said I did not know. And then she said, I know you had been taken by the little ones. I said, yes. I cannot understand. She said, you must not try to understand. You were chosen by the gods as a living sacrifice. So don't even try to talk about this. But how could I not talk about it? I wanted to understand what had been done to me, by whom and why. Even now, sir, I still want to understand what it was all about. And many years later, I met a remarkable white woman, Elizabeth Clara, a famous South African woman who had worked for British intelligence during the war, and who, we are told, had been impregnated by a being from the stars.
Christine, thank you for the $10 sticker. The cute little puppy there. Appreciate you.
Akho. I asked Elizabeth what was the meaning of the strange thing which was done to me. Because since that time, I had come across many black people, well over 200, who had been through the same torture as I. I had come across many black as well as Cape-colored women who had been mysteriously impregnated by the same creatures that I had gone through the hands of. And let me tell you one other interesting thing before I forget. About a year after I had underwent this terrible experience, I was walking along Jeppe Street in Johannesburg, delivering parcels, when a white man shouted at me to stop. I stopped. I thought he was a policeman wanting to arrest me for some reason. And when I tried to produce my identity document, the white man said, listen, I don't want your nasty word passbook cover. I said, then sir, what do you want, boss? He said, listen, where did I see you? Where did I see you? I said, I don't know that. But he looked very familiar to me. And then he said, listen, don't bullshit me, man. Where did I see you?
Me too,
Where
sir.
did you and I meet? Then I said to him, I saw you in Rhodesia, in a certain place. You were lying on a table. If I had hit that white man with a fist, he would not have reacted the way he did. He went pale, almost dirty gray in appearance, and he turned away with a terrible, dirty word, and he walked away. His eyes were filled not with anger, sir, but with pure, naked terror.
Astonishing story.
Yes, sir. But there is more, sir. There is more, because I still want to know what was done to me. Say, one day you and I must talk more, in greater depth than now. I would like to tell you that since that time, I have found that I know things that a man of my standard of education shouldn't know. These hands, and those who know me can confirm, these hands not only have made these sculptures using ancient African metal casting secrets. These hands, believe it or not, can make guns and working jet engines. And one day I wish you to come back to South Africa and I will show you one of these things. I know things which I shouldn't know, and it started at that time.
He's saying he came back from these abduction encounters and he just knew, he just knew how to make things that he had never actually learnt how to make. And he's saying guns and jet engines. And he's inviting David Icke to come back another time and he'll show him.
Now, you see, sir, I want to know, what am I? Since that terrible time, my life as a man was really messed up. And one day let me tell you, sir, since that time,
You got to download.
I have become...
Just like what Tim Taylor says, apparently, right? Through Dana Pasolka, that he has gotten downloads, built tech companies and like biomedicine companies and sold them for millions. Or that's paraphrasing, but that is essentially the story from Tim Taylor. Just through downloads, getting given knowledge that works.
a very confused creature.
Which, sorry, by the way, is the same story that Jack Parsons has told, Herman Oberth has told, and the Russians too. All of the like founders of these rocketry programs around the world all have their own version of events of having help or receiving knowledge in some way from a form of non-human intelligence. But again, it's told differently in Germany, in Russia, and in America through a different cultural lens. But when you peel back the layers and the labels, they're all saying the same thing. They're all saying that we got help from something that is, you know, not human. And that doesn't necessarily mean like an alien being, but like through meditation, through downloads, through some kind of ritual, they're receiving knowledge.
It's embarrassing, really. But since that terrible day, I became bisexual, which to me as an African is very, very disgusting.
Wow.
Since that time, my mind doesn't seem to be my own. I think about things that a man like me shouldn't bother himself about. I worry about people. It's sickening. I have ruined my life because of worrying about people. I feel that I want to take every human being on this earth by the shoulders, shake them roughly and say, listen, Pastor, there is more to this earth than you think. Say, I have seen the child. I have smelt them. I've had personal experience of these. And there are people who claim that these creatures are gods.
He does roll his R's very well, Steve. It's very satisfying to listen to. I agree.
There are people there who claim that these creatures are experimenting on us. That is a lot of rubbish. These creatures are harvesting us. These creatures
We're a farm.
are not aliens, Mr. Icke. These creatures are sexually compatible with our women. And what does that tell you? It tells you that they came from here.
Isn't that like exactly, almost like verbatim things that we have been hearing lately? Who has been saying that recently? like in this topic of like hybrids and interbreeding, someone has said basically what Credo just said then, basically word for word. In like, they're interbreeding with us, so what does that mean? They're sexually compatible, which means they are related to us. They are from here. We are them. They are, you know, they're not some foreign species. They're not from somewhere else. We are somehow linked to them. This is something that people have been talking about. The Australian guy was Peter Corey. Interesting that Peter said that, and Credo had that little model earlier that looked and sounded similar to the beings that Peter Corey described as well.
They are part of us. And this makes them all the more dangerous. They know us very, very, very well. They know the great weaknesses of our minds, just as they know the great strengths of our minds. They operate in what I call the gray area of human existence, that side of our lives which we don't want to acknowledge the existence of. They create, African tradition says that the Chitauri, where they engaged God himself in a terrible war, and God defeated them, the real God, Nkulunkulu, the Creator. God defeated them, and he closed their mouths so that they are unable to talk or to eat food anymore. But we are told, say, that the Chitauri fatten on the energy that we human beings give them. They make us to fight each other. And when the whole land is drowning in death and fear and terror, when hundreds and hundreds of people are angry and afraid, the Chitauri get fat because they eat that what we call the dark power.
They feed on negative emotions, is what he's saying. AKA exactly what Tom DeLonge said in 2016.
Which is brought about when human beings destroy the planet on which they live. They feed on human emotion. Yes, sir. Very, very intense human emotion. We are told, for example, that if you see a Chitauri walking through the bush or just standing there and looking at you, and you are accompanied by your wife or your girlfriend, you must immediately make love to that girlfriend and release as much emotion as possible.
He's saying if you at a Sia Chitori and you're walking with your girlfriend, you need to immediately make love to her to release as much love as possible. I could just picture people being like, hey, is that a Chitori? Hey, look. Hey, Chitori. Chitori.
And the Chitauri will be pleased and will walk away from you and not harm you. And another thing, sir, we are told that the Chitauri eat energy which is generated when hundreds of human minds or one human mind starts thinking at certain levels. We are told that the Chitauri want us to think at certain levels.
Kristen says the Umbaba was in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Little rabbit hole there.
Yes, sir. And they reward us with long life. May I ask you, sir?
Good luck, Carlos. Let us know how it goes.
Have you ever thought, as a thinking person, why is it that in the great universities of this world, you find professors who think at certain levels and who live unnaturally long lives? Albert Einstein, Raymond Dart, Robert Broom, all these professors live a long, long time. And my Aunt Mina, the last Sanusi in South Africa other than myself.
Zeitgeist says it's all about compatibility. That's why we exist. We humans genome are multi-compatible to all races. I have heard this. I think it might have been Alex Collier who spoke about this, and he said that our DNA and our genetics are like sort of like the way we see minerals and different elements like iron, copper, and all that, and they're sort of like valuable resources that we sort of collect and use to do different things. Our genetic structure and like our DNA code is like a set of resources to something else as copper, iron, zinc, and whatever gold is to us. And we are used, and you know, we make things out of it. They do too. And that the human, like you said, our makeup, the compatibility of our makeup is like it's like the wild card in Uno. It can be whatever you want it to be. Whereas like you put down a 6, you can only match it with a 6. We like the wild card. We can go with anything. Everyone wants to use us. See, I'm bringing real world analogies that are easy to understand and digest to reptilians enslaving humanity. Okay, I'm making this digestible for everyone.
Is as active as a young girl, and yet she's close to her 99th year of life. My stepmother, Rose, she has lost nearly all her children.
NT Gangster says, it's not our DNA they want. You're so misled. I'm done here. Oh, damn, bro. I'll be sad to see you go. Unlucky.
And she is still alive. Extreme longevity is the reward with which the Chitauri reward you if you think at certain wavelengths.
The description of your abduction clearly is describing what has become known as the Greys, what I think is also known by some as the Ant People, the grey figures with the big black eyes. How do you think they connect in with the openly reptilian? And do you think that the black covers of the eyes are covering some kind of reptilian truth?
Say, the so-called grey aliens.
You keep pushing the same narrative. What are you selling? Merch, bro. 20% off if you want to go check it out. Code Lizard King.
Are actually the lackeys and the servants of the Chitauri. If you see a Chitauri and you see this,
thank you,
there
sir.
is very little racial difference. In fact, I will even go so far as to say this, that these creatures are actually the offspring of the Chitauri. The way they gather substances from human beings and from animals, the way they are the forerunners of the Chitauri in any place. And if you are very close to one of these creatures and you look into its goggle-like eyes, you will see round eyes, Mr. Ike, beyond this black goggle-like stuff.
Oh, he just said beyond that, beyond the, you know, the big almond-shaped eyes that we're so used to, you will see round eyes. And we have heard this before. Like I can't exactly say where, but the idea that they are like lenses, like sunglasses to a real pair of eyes is something we've heard before. And I'm talking because I'm pulling something up for you guys in the background. This is an old 4chan picture of an alien that was posted and deleted off the internet. I'm gonna play the video, and I'm going to pull this up and show you guys because it's exactly what he's describing.
And these eyes are the real creature's eyes. Now let me tell you, there is in Lesotho a very strange mountain, a mountain called Leribe, Leribe. On this mountain, very amazing things happen after every 10-year or 20-year period.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it in. Now, this photo, like I've cropped the photo. There's a little bit more background to it, but obviously, you know, it's very up close. It's very high def to the point where people are just going to be like, oh, this is obviously fake or something. And maybe it is, right? But if it's a fake, it's a very good one. And I don't know, but the detail in it is kind of crazy. Look at behind the eyes. Look at the veins and shit in it. And, you know, look, maybe it's real, maybe it's not, I don't know. But if someone's going to fake this, that's a very interesting detail to put in, right? You can see clearly that there are circular eyes that sit inside there. And the way that they sit is really interesting too. Like if you look at the inner corners here, like this part here, you know, they're not symmetrical. It's not symmetrical. There's like this, just like a real face isn't, right? Real faces generally aren't symmetrical. There's differences in the eyes, but the way the actual circular eyes sit in there is really kind of interesting to me. And there's like veins in the neck and just like a lot of weird details around the collarbone and stuff like that. I don't know. Interesting little picture, I thought, that reminded me a lot of what he's saying. Maybe we can add this to our schizo mood board. I'll get the schizo mood board rolling again.
Now, not so long ago, an African farmer found an object near that mountain, an object which had crashed. And he was driving his tractor, and he saw this strange object lying in the ground with tiny little bolts of lightning.
You know, it's been a good show when it ends with looking like this.
Racing all around its edge. And the African walked up to the object, and when he wanted to touch it, a strange power struck him and sent him sprawling on his back to the ground. The African got onto his tractor and got out of there. What the African had seen had been a crashed UFO, a flying saucer. He described it very amazingly. And he said that after a few days, there appeared what he said was a huge removal van, very big, accompanied by soldiers wearing black uniforms, goggles, and berets. And these soldiers lifted the object into the van, and the van drove away. But when the people came to the site, they saw that something had fallen there, but they saw no heavy tire tracks of the vehicle that the man had described. Something had crashed there, had been removed, but there were no wheel marks of the heavy vehicle he had described. Now, let me tell you something else. It was in 1958. In fact, I think that the incident I'm going to describe to you, sir, is somehow connected to what happened to me in 1959. I'm sure of it. A friend of mine in Lesotho called me. He said that he had something very important and that we had to share this. He said, please, I must come to Lesotho. I must come. And I went there. And then I found that he had dug a hole at the back of his hut. And he asked me that he and I and his second wife should go into this hole on the night to come and there to share something very, very holy. Well, we went down the hole. We used a broken ladder, and there inside the hole, we ate small pieces of something.
Of what?
He told me to chew these things very thoroughly, as they were quite hard. I still had teeth in my face at that time. And I chewed and I chewed and I chewed and I chewed. But I noticed that what I was chewing was some kind of dry substance, and that it had the same taste that you would feel in your mouth if you sucked a copper penny. It had that coppery taste.
Like blood?
Like as if you were sucking an old copper coin. And then we left the hole and we went into his house. And on the following day, we all became terribly ill. Very, very ill. Our skins erupted into a rash. It was very, very painful. It was very, very itchy. We bathed with urine trying to take the itching away, but it failed. We bathed with sheep dip, and it failed. And in the end, I could no longer breathe at all. My tongue appeared to swell many times its size. And then I got so sick I could barely open my eyelids. The skin was itching like mad and I could barely breathe. And as the days went by, it was about a week, but it seemed like 100 years, slowly the rash subsided. And my skin began to peel, as did my friend's skin and the skin of his wife. We were very, very, very sick. And when I could speak, I asked him, what was the thing that you gave me to eat? This is the thing that has made us so sick. Why did you do this, my friend? He said, look, what we shared was something that can only be eaten while you are hiding in a hole. And that thing is the flesh of a god. I said, God? He said, yes. I said, but I am sick now. He said, wait, you'll recover. You either die within 2 days or you recover. Now we are going to recover because we are still alive after 2 days. Mr. Ek, I can't describe to you what happened next. I wish you to imagine, sir, you are sick, weak, and feverish. Suddenly, you get stuck staring raving, laughing mad. We started laughing. Ha 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 ha. It was utterly incredible. What had made us what had caused the laughter we did not know, but we laughed for hours, all three of us. And then, when our jaws couldn't laugh anymore, a new thing happened. My friend's eldest daughter gave us all water. And when I drank that water, my sense of taste was so heightened that I was utterly shaken. Ordinary water from a mountain spring tasted like, I don't know like what, like wine, like something out of I don't know where. My taste buds must have been souped up somehow. And then
It does sound like
another
shrooms.
feeling, which I cannot describe, fell over all of us. It was a feeling as if we were one with the entire universe.
Yeah. Bro had 7 grams of shrooms, 100%.
When I looked at a tree outside my friend's homestead,
Oh, and the tree
it was
thing.
as if that tree was a multicolored living rainbow.
Been there,
When I
Credo.
looked at the mountain far away, my sense of sight was so intense that I could see colors beyond colors.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't give you any other description. And
You don't
then
have to, bro. I've been there.
afterwards, I was very weak, but with a monstrous appetite.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
I left my friend's homestead and returned to South Africa. Every step of the way, I seemed like a person reborn. It was a feeling that no words can describe. And when I asked my friend by letter afterwards, what was this God flesh? He said it had been the flesh of a Puana. Yes. People who say that these things don't.
He just said it was the flesh of a grey. This thing that he believes he ate was the flesh of a grey. And again, just to go back to Peter Curry, like, you know, he believes he swallowed the flesh of whatever that being was. He didn't report having like a shroom experience, but he did report it tasting like highly acidic, like it burnt his esophagus for days, and he was like coughing for days.
Existed better, think again. They are tangible, they are smellable, and furthermore, they are edible if you are willing to take the risk. In Africa, we have an ancient custom
Who's down to eat some greys and trip out?
whose existence many people deny today. That anything that claims to be a god.
Bro, what about how Terence McKenna says mushrooms are aliens? Yo, what is that about?
Should be eaten. There are places in Africa even now where if you are a spiritual person and you are sick, well, let me tell you what happened to me in the country
Alien biltong?
today called Zaire.
Need to get some of that grey jerky.
I got sick. I was undergoing yet another of my 7 initiations. And I fell sick from very bad running stomach. And I was so sick. Everything that my friends, white friends and black friends, could do.
I'll give it a miss. It sounds cruel. Well, I mean, Kelly, if they're just robots anyway, if they're just biological robots, is it maybe ethical? They don't have a soul. Does that mean it's okay to eat them?
Failed to help me. And then, one night, some of my teachers came to me and requested that since I was going to die, would I please allow them the honor of eating me after death? Now, sir, it's a very good thing to be invited to a thing, but not when you happen to be part of the menu. And I recovered so quickly that I escaped from that area in one of their ramshackle buses, and I never went back. Thank you very much. Fear can be a wonderful medicine sometimes, and it was with me.
That is part 1 of the Credo Mutwa and David Icke interview. Guys, it is Thursday night here where I am. We'll either be getting into part 2 tomorrow at the same time, Friday night, which will be Friday morning if you're in the States, or we will be doing it potentially early Saturday morning, which will be Friday night in the States. Unsure. If you're not, follow me on X, follow me on Instagram, or join our Discord because I post on there every single time I go live. So if you're worried about like missing the lives, if you're on Instagram and you check stories, if you have me on X, if you're in our Discord, you get pinged, you will never miss a live. Okay, the link is below to join our Discord. It's free for everyone. We have a members only section there as well. And we do movie nights in there. We stream shows. And what we're going to do is we're going to get on to getting a copy of V, the original V from the 80s, and we're going to stream the whole series soon when we can get ourselves a copy, and that'll be free for everyone to watch. Also, on the topic of streaming, The Age of Disclosure is coming out soon, and apparently on top of your Amazon membership, they're charging like $20 to watch it. We're going to buy a copy, and we're going to stream it for everyone for free in Discord. So get in Discord if you want to watch The Age of Disclosure. I think depending on when it comes out and how it works, what I would like to do is stream here. We'll have a little pre-game party. And then once it goes live on Amazon, we'll all go jump in Discord and watch it together. I think that'll be fun. So keep an eye on that. If you want to support the channel, you can look after yourself online and go to proton.me/polarity and get 23% off their unlimited suite, end-to-end encrypted email, 500 gigabytes cloud storage, VPN in like 110 countries. I get a kickback on every subscription there as well. So it protects you, supports me. We all win together. But guys, thank you for hanging out today. Just catching up on a few super chats here. Stevie says, kids are acting up all night. Can we get a TLDR version at the end for those who missed most of this? Thanks, bro. Stevie, honestly, you're going to have to go back and watch that one. There's a lot in there to TLDR you on, and trust me, it'll be worth it. Richo says, looks like we've got another one who's had 5 too many owls. Thank you, mate. And B. Hillman says, sorry, been working and missed the lives for a while. Great stuff, Josh Steele. My man, thank you very much, B. I appreciate the support. We're going to go out tonight with the Weirdo Anthem. Now, a few people were saying they want to hear the whole song. That would mean extending the intro, like the outro, like a minute and a half, which I can do if you guys like it. But just let me know, and maybe we can jam out together. Christine with $50. Thank you so much. That is a huge super chat, and I can't say how much I appreciate it. Guys, follow my other channel, Josh Stradamus TV. Lots of good stuff happening there. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Good night.